47. I note that this is a matter that is before the High Court, so I'm sure the Deputy will be very careful in her comments.
It's always Ceann Comhairle, and this is actually a follow-on to a previous question, Minister, that the good offices of the Ceann Comhairle were helped me and actually get answered. But it's a follow-on from that one. It's about listed side effects of Larium, where we'd asked you in terms of a list of them to say whether they were deemed to be minor, tolerable or intolerable in terms of side effects, such issue being important because that's the basis upon which the Defence Forces define whether somebody can serve or not, depending on the side effects and whether Larium should be withdrawn.
Minister.
Question 47.
47.
Yeah. The State Claims Agency are currently managing 55 claims which have been made by former members of the Defence Forces who allege personal injury as a result of consumption of Larium. The first was scheduled to be heard in the High Court on the 4th of July 2017 and has now been adjourned to the 3rd of November 2017. The question raised by the Deputy would engage me on matters that relate to litigation. It is therefore inappropriate for me to comment on this matter further.
Well, it's interesting that it took an inordinate length of time to get you to give some clarity to the matters prior to the case has been listed before the High Court. But in any case, the point being is that the Defence Force's position on this matter has been that if somebody is going to sub-Saharan Africa, they must be given the drug at least 2 weeks before they go, to allow them to accommodate to either minor or tolerable side effects, or to determine whether the side effects are intolerable. The problem has been that they never defined which was intolerable and which was tolerable or minor, up until actually with the Ceann Comhairle's intervention. You did answer a previous PQ where you did admit already, and you're on the public record, there's no secret of that, adverse reactions which mandated that Larium would be discontinued. My question today specifies a list of specific reactions: anxiety, restlessness or confusion. And these are the terms used as early as 1995 by the Irish Medicines Board newsletter, and also the manufacturer or the drug in their listed side effects. So what I wanted to know was, when did the Defence Forces become aware of those side effects being ones which were deemed to require the discontinuance of Larium? You've already admitted to me other side effects which would be deemed to be intolerable and recommended the discontinuance of Larium.
Let me state, Deputy, that I really believe that the choice of medication is a matter for the medical professionals within the Irish Defence Forces, for the medical officers, and I don't think it should be up to members of Dáil here to decide on what is the most appropriate medication to be taken in sub-Saharan Africa. But let me state clearly that I do know that all of the personnel are screened prior to deployment to make sure that they are suitably fit for whatever medication that is prescribed to them, and it is the medical professionals that assess each of the individuals. I am expecting a report of the review group to be given to me shortly, and at that juncture I will consider the findings of that review group and whatever recommendations that are in the report, or in the review report, that would be given to me. I do expect that shortly, but let me state that because of litigation that was to take part, as I said, on the 4th of July, but now has been adjourned until the 3rd of November 2017, are precluded from commenting any further on the individual cases.
Deputy Daly.
A medical one, but it is a decision then based on medical advice which the Defence Forces themselves take. So it's not a theoretical or abstract or political question, it's actually a medical, factual situation. And you have stated in correspondence previously that there are a list of adverse reactions which would mandate the discontinuance of Larium. I'm asking you here that these specific listed side effects, when the Defence Forces were first of the view that these side effects would necessitate the withdrawal of Larium. It's actually a date or a year answer. And the reason why is that if somebody presents with side effects which are deemed to be intolerable, they are told that Larium will be discontinued and that they will no longer be allowed to serve in, for example, sub-Saharan Africa. And it's an area that hasn't been adequately or publicly defined previously. But it's a simple date and time answer, really. It's not impacted upon by litigation or anything like that. And it's obviously based on medical knowledge and that too.
Daly has a supplementary.
Very briefly, just this isn't a question about the administration of Larium as a whole, but the Minister made a comment that it wouldn't be up to the Dáil basically to make a decision in terms of medical advice and the administration of Larium. Given that Cabinet quite regularly issues funding based on HSE advice to do with medicines, it is a political decision kind of whether this Dáil takes a decision and that decision is not complied with by Cabinet or complied with by the military authorities. So I think you were wrong in what you were saying unless you elaborate further on it.
Conclude, please.
Deputy, it would be totally inappropriate of me to comment on the decision-making of the medical professionals within the Defence Forces. That prior to deployment, all personnel are screened for what medication they are more suitably prescribed to them, and if there are issues around the medication that is prescribed to them during deployment, well, that is a matter for the medical professionals to make and to take whatever course of action is the most appropriate course of action. This is about making sure that the safety and health and well-being of members of the Irish Defence Forces are safe and that they are not prone to malaria. And I think I stated in the House last week the dangers of the disease malaria that it can bring on members. And we are very lucky that we have lost no members of the Defence Forces. So somebody must be making the right decisions, and that is totally up to the medical professionals.
Thank you, Minister. Sin Daly le question